Welcome to Reframe Your Mindset for Success. With me today is Jose. Hi, Jose.
Hi, how are you doing, Paul? It's great to talk to you.
Really good, thank you. Really good. And how have you been this week? What have you been up to?
It's been great. I just been doing a lot of work and also spending quality time with my wife and my family and trying to stay positive and doing as much as I can and enjoying life while I have it. Yeah.
Great stuff. Great stuff. So, on the basis of the podcast, as you know, we're very much focused on mindset. But before we get into any of that stuff, what we're really interested in is hearing your story in as many words that you want to tell it. So it's over to you.
All right. Yeah, I'm from Guatemala and I came to the United States as an adult and I'm always looking for ways to improve and grow. I believe that life is an opportunity to learn, teach, and grow. And I embrace challenges because life is, you're going to find challenges every time, even when you least expect them. So I'm doing the best that I can to embrace challenges and try to learn how to cope with them and have fun. I am happily married, and here in the United States, I teach Spanish and English. I also play chess, I dance and teach salsa. I do stand-up comedy, and I do also one or two obstacle races a year. I do yoga and I have done three 10-day silent meditation retreats. So I'm doing a little bit of everything because I know that that's how I grow.
Right. So it sounds like that's quite a wide range of stuff that you've got going on there, yeah?
Yes, but actually, the more I do, the more I want to do because I meet great people and I do different things, and it's how I enjoy life because that's how I have now that I have the opportunity, I want to do it because I don't want life changes so rapidly and sometimes even so drastically that you say, you know what? Oh my God, I wish I could have done this 10 years ago or 5 or even 20 years ago. So I want to do as much as I can and enjoy life at the moment, when I have the opportunity.
Yeah, that definitely, absolutely. And I know, we first met quite a number of years ago when first in business, and we used to talk a lot about setting up in business, and it's amazing how now, the types of things that you've been getting involved in, that you've been doing since we last spoke. So really fascinating. But taking you back to when you were a bit younger, and you said you grew up in Guatemala, did you say?
Yes, I grew up in Guatemala and I grew up with my family. I was not, a rich. I was like kind of like poor, My family was poor and then I went to school. I went to university in Guatemala. And then my mom was here in the United States, so I decided to come and join my mom and help her in any way I could, emotionally, financially, or in any way possible. Because of the same thing, I was thinking, you know what? Anything could happen at any time, and I want to spend time with my family, with my mom, together with her, because I had a good job. I was going to university, and I said if I want to come back and go back to university, the university is not gonna go away. It's gonna be here. If I want to get a new job, there's gonna be all different kinds of jobs. But if my mom goes away or she dies or something happens to her, there is no way back.
It makes absolute sense. And from there to coming out into the US, and is it California where you live, Jose? Is that where you are?
In the United States, in the state of California, and I usually say Los Angeles because that's what most people recognize. It's funny because now I live in a city that's called Ontario, but not in Canada, but Ontario, California.
Right with you. Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely. It's interesting because I've been doing a little bit of writing recently and researching Los Angeles, and obviously it's quite a vast place, isn't it? It's a really big place at the end of the day. But on the basis of you come to the US then to get to where you've got to now, was linguistics, teaching Spanish, teaching English, was that something that you fell into, or was it something you planned to do?
Actually, it was something that I fell into. Why? Because I when I came to United States, I wasn't able to speak English. I didn't know how to speak English. So I was frustrated and I said, "Oh my God, I'm friendly, I'm sociable, I want to meet people, I want to have friends, but I can't even communicate with them." So my frustration took me to learn English. And to the point that I'm actually now teaching English and also teaching Spanish because I see myself in those students. And I said, oh my God, I really wanted to be able to read a book. I wanted to go to a group and make friends and have fun and join the fun and join groups, but I wasn't able to because I wasn't able to communicate in English.
Wow, wow, and that must have been really difficult. We look at it and go, we do have challenges in life, but not being able to speak the same language as people, that you're living with, it must be really difficult. So from teaching yourself, is it a case of going to classes and teaching yourself? Did it take a number of years to get to where you've got to now?
Yes, it was a process. And of course, to teach it, I had to learn it first. So that was challenging. But again, it was the mindset, the mindset that I said, you know what? I know I can do it. I'm going to do it and I will do it. And I did it. I wanted to learn because here I live in a Hispanic community where sometimes you don't really have to speak English because everything you can do everything in Spanish. There are
Yeah,
some communities that either, it could be Asian communities or any other kind of communities that they don't speak the language, and you can do just about everything in that language. So it's a little bit more challenging to learn English because you have to go out of that community and
yeah.
find people and places where you can practice English.
Well, yeah, it makes sense. I mean, I've tried to learn languages over the years, and the biggest thing that I've learned trying to learn a language is that you've got to immerse yourself with people who are speaking the same language, because otherwise you just don't pick it up, do you? You need people there that speak that same language, because if you're not doing that, it's really hard for it to stick.
Exactly. I actually teach both English and Spanish, and the main complaint that I get from my students is I don't have people to practice with. And it's crazy because when I say that people who want to learn English don't have people to practice English with here in the United States, people go like, "What?
Wow.
How can that even be possible?" We're in the United States, we speak English. But that's the reality. There are a lot of people who don't, everything that they do is in Spanish, so they don't even have the opportunity to practice or even connect with other people who don't, who speak English.
Yeah,
And that sounds crazy. But and then the other side of it is when I teach Spanish, the same complaint. People say, I don't have anybody to speak Spanish with. Where here in the United States, there are so many people who speak Spanish. There are millions of people who
yeah,
speak
yeah.
something like 30% of the no, almost like 50% of the state. In the United States, it's gonna be like 30% of the whole country who's gonna be able to speak Spanish in a couple of years. Yeah.
Yeah, that definitely, and that from what you're saying is it's taking you, at the time it took you courage to put yourself out to be able to then go and speak the English. It was English at first, wasn't it? You would have been learning English, to go and then surround yourself with people who are speaking English rather than just being surrounded by the people who are speaking Spanish. It takes courage, doesn't it? A little bit of bravery to then put yourself in those situations.
Yes, definitely. I tell people, you know what? You have to make a lot of mistakes and you have to make mistakes your friend because there is no way around not making mistakes. So you have to make mistakes. I tell my students that making mistakes is an essential part of the learning process, especially at the beginning. So I tell them the more mistakes you make, the faster you are going to learn.
Absolutely. I like that. I like that. So, as you know, Jose, the podcast is about mindset, and some of that stuff we've already started to talk about, and we're pointing towards. So, why is mindset so important to you?
Well, mindset is so important to me because, like many people say, my mindset is everything. Mindset, it's all about your beliefs, your attitudes, perspectives, and how you see the world. It helps me when it comes to teaching, reframing failure. Like I was saying, if you actually say, you know what, I have to do it. An essential part of the process. So it's not something that you are afraid of, but it's something that you have to do and that, you have to be okay with it. I tell people you have two options. You can be sad and cry about making mistakes and still do it, or enjoy it, enjoy being a beginner. So mindset, it's also influential in my personal and professional success, because if I have self-esteem, I'm going to be able to perform a lot better. Like Bob Proctor, a writer and motivator speaker here in the United States, said, you know what, you cannot achieve more than what you believe you can.
Yeah.
So it's like creating your self-image, having self-esteem, and also the inner conversations that you have. For me, it's mindset. It's also about the positive talk, the self-talk. I also have uh, an app, that it's about positive self-talk. That's the name of the app. It's called Self-Talk Plus by Dr. Shad Hamsler. Excuse me. And he has written more than 20 books in that field, the self-talk.
Wow.
And one of his most popular books is the one that's called What to Say When You Talk to Yourself. It's very powerful.
Yeah, so that sounds great. That's a real good recommendation.
Mhm.
I hadn't heard of it before, so thank you. So on the basis of, explaining why mindset is important to you,
Mhm.
how would you describe your mindset then? How would you put it into terms that we could understand that explains how your mindset is each day?
Sure. It's different in different situations and in my life, but I would say that my mindset, it's a growth-oriented mindset. It's positive and flexible, and also embraces challenges and with a love of for learning and reframing failure and celebrating my wins, because I have to celebrate my wins in the sense that in our culture, we don't, sometimes we feel bad to celebrate our wins. We're not used to, nobody teaches us how to celebrate even the smallest wins that we get every day. So we say we have to do it, but there is no fun. There is no celebration for actually you achieving your goals. A lot of times we think that we have to make something big, something huge in order to celebrate, in order to be proud of ourselves. And I think that if you change your mindset regarding that, it's going to be a lot easier for you.
Yeah, that's good. It's good advice again. It's amazing how easily we can focus on, the negative rather than the positive. And quite rightly, it does seem to need to be something big before we start to celebrate it. So that's good advice again.
Yeah,
So
and you were saying about positive and negative. I think that that's how we are wired. Like some people say that we have to have like I don't know, 60 or 70 positive reinforcement to avoid or to cancel one negative association. Like we pay more attention to the negative aspects than the positive.
yeah, absolutely. So I totally agree. There's so many people will focus on the smallest of negatives and miss all of the positives, and you go, and part of that is the way the brain's wired, and it can be unfortunate at times because you're missing all the good stuff. As if you let one little thing spoil your day, all of the good things that happen around you, you're missing. On the basis of what you just said, then, are there any tips, tools, or techniques that you use to, keep your mindset where you want it?
Sure. Yeah, yeah. I have learned a lot. I tell people to read. Like you were saying, this is a good recommendation for a book. When you read, you actually learn the lessons. Like when you wrote your book, Reframe Your Mindset and Refine Your Success, there's a lot of great information in that book. And I tell people, if you read books, you are going to get the knowledge, the experiences of those people. By reading your book, we actually get to know you. We get to know your experience. We get to know uh, your findings from your 20 plus years of research. How many years have you been researching and living self-development and mindset in your
Yeah,
life?
yeah. For me, it's been 30 years, and I guess, as the book you mentioned, there, Reframe Your Mindset, it was, that had been, must have been about 20, 25 years of research. And
Hmm.
as you said, you mentioned Bob Proctor, and there's some of the real greats out there like Brian Tracy and Anthony
Exactly.
Robbins, Stephen Covey, that I learned from when I was younger. And you go, it's only through life experience where you go, well, actually, I've got to take on this stuff myself that can maybe help people. And you go, but reading is such a powerful way for us all to learn and develop our mindset.
Yeah, definitely. You know what? It's funny that you mentioned Brian Tracy because I went to a call with self-development, and actually it was Brian Tracy was actually teaching it, and I was actually asking him questions directly, and then we had a
Wow.
really good conversation with him. So it was very interesting.
Do
And
you know he's one of there's a book called Maximum Achievements by Brian Tracy, and
Mhm.
I listened to his which were, and I'm showing my age because they were tapes back in the day. Obviously everything's digital now, but I used to listen to his tapes, The Psychology of Achievements, and his laws of success and achievements are fantastic. And for anyone listening, they are just the amount of information that he shares, and that is truly, truly helpful. But wow, you got to spend time with him and got to ask him questions. There's a little bit of jealousy here right now.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. But another tip that I like to share with other people is to do things that they are not used to or that are challenging for them. For instance, I joined Toastmasters International to
Yeah,
actually learn how to speak in public. So
yeah,
there are things that, that are challenging, but that's how we grow to go out of our comfort zone. Like I was saying, I also do stand-up comedy, and I did it because I wanted to expand and to do things that are not easy, that they are challenging, and they are like really, you have to put a lot of effort in it. So that's how we expand, that's how we grow. So I tell people to do things that they are afraid of or they are scared of doing it because that's how you actually not get rid of fear, but you actually learn to go through it instead of being afraid of that because life changes so quickly and in many ways, like I mentioned before, is drastically, and you don't want to be in the position of saying like, oh, I wish I could have done it when I was young or when I was able to. Now life is totally different. Hmm.
yeah, definitely. I know, absolutely. And once again, it takes courage and bravery to do that. And
Yeah.
quite recently, I've seen some of your stand up, by the way, and I really enjoyed it. I thought, wow, you've got that kind of charisma on the stage, but you've taken something that you've never done before, and
Hmm.
you've had the bravery to be able to go, well, I'm gonna stretch myself here. I'm gonna try something new. Which isn't easy to do. So, hats off to you, totally. And at the same time, by the way, your stuff was funny, so really good. You should do more of it.
Yeah, I'm actually taking a break right now because of the end of the year, but next year I'm gonna pick it up again and then write new content and have fun because that's what I tell people. You know what? Also, don't worry about what people are going to say about it because people will criticize you either way. If you do something good or if you don't do it, there's always someone who's gonna criticize you either way. So I tell people to do things that they want to do because that's how you enjoy life, you know?
Absolutely, absolutely. And that leads in quite nicely to the next question, which is, have you got any funny stories? Has there anything funny happened in your career, or obviously either from a speaking perspective, or that you
Mhm.
can share with the listeners?
Well, oh my God, I'll tell you a funny story because I have a younger brother who is 10 years younger than me. And he used to smoke pot or marijuana, He used to
Yeah.
he used to smoke, and he also used to cook it, to make it stronger, to make it more powerful, and to make it really, really strong. So, and one day, I wanted to cook something, and I was cooking a soup. I said, my brother had it in the fridge, like frozen and really ferment and really strong. And I said, I'm just gonna try a little bit. I'm just gonna put a little bit in the soup to see how it tastes. And then I did. But I said, you know what? I'm just gonna put a little bit more. I didn't know that. that it was really strong. And I said, I'm just gonna put some in it. And here's the thing that I put it and then I ate the soup. And then I went to teach a class for little
Oh
kids.
no, no.
Oh my God. And you know what? Kids are funny by, by nature. But for some reason, those kids were even funnier that day. Everything that they did, I was laughing at it. I was like, if they were to say, hello, how are you doing? It would be funny to me. It was funny to me. And I was cracking up like, oh my God. And I didn't know why when I was there. And you know what? What's going on? Why are they too funny today? You know? And then I finished that class and then I went back home and then I felt a little bit tired, so I took a nap. But here's the thing. And then I woke up and I was hungry. And then I went to the kitchen looking for something to eat. And guess what was there?
The
The
soup.
soup. Exactly. Exactly. And then I ate some more because I was hungry. The munches. And then after that, I had to drive to a student's house for a private lesson. And then when I was driving, I was like, what's going on? What's happening to me? And I realized at that moment that it was the bloody soup. Needless to say, I was laughing like crazy during that private session. And oh my God, I tell that story to a lot of my friends and they crack up all the time. It's so
Maramara soup.
exactly.
I think can you imagine making that and they're trying to sell it on the I don't think you get far like bro.
Oh, that was crazy. But it's a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun after the fact.
That's a good story. It's a really good story. So on the basis of, everything that we've been talking about, you look at mindset and some of the great advice that you've just given. If you were to give that last piece of advice to listeners based on your experience, what would you give?
Well, the biggest advice that I tell people is to have the mindset of a beginner, you know, having that wonder and trying to be mesmerized by even the little things, to say everything, to say, oh my God, this small thing is fun. What is it? Be curious, and also to express your feelings and tell your family and friends how much you appreciate them, to express yourself because you never know, with the pandemic that we had, many people died, and in any second, life could change so drastically, and I tell people to also ask empowering questions like, what's good about it? What's funny about it? As a comedian, I have to do that. Even the most boring thing that you can think of could be funny if you find a way to do it, you know? And like
Yeah,
you also
definitely.
say in your book, that the quality of your life will determine the quality of no the quality of your life will be determined by the quality of your thoughts, and that's actually important because if you are focused on having good thoughts and positive thoughts, that's going to improve your quality of life. And the final thing is that I tell people you don't have to have a near death experience like you did in order to become the best version of yourself or to start living life.
Yeah.
You can learn from others, like from you and from other, like you were mentioning, Brian Tracy, Tony Robbins, and different other people that you can learn from, and always do your best. That would be it.
Brilliant. That is absolutely fantastic advice. Well, Jose, it's been brilliant talking to you today. Thanks very much for coming on the podcast, sharing your story and sharing your insights into mindset. It's really appreciated. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure, and I always enjoy, talking to you and learning from you as well.
Thanks, Jose. Thank you.